Hey Clashers, Supercell announced the balance changes just a few weeks ago, and those changes are now live in-game. If you want to exactly know what those changes are, make sure to check out the video right above me. But for this video, we're going to take a look at the top 5 strategies after those balance changes. With that being said, let's dive in and let's start with the number 5. On the number 5 spot, we have Warden charge with Fireball and Yetis and a really big hero dive. You can as well play a Warden charge with Rocket Loons. I just think that this version is a little bit stronger right now. The concept here, and this is what we're going to do for every single strategy, I have always the strategy in the beginning with the white color numbers, which means the priority guide for the equipment. Then we have a red color as well, which is showing you the minimum level you should go for when it comes onto the equipment, the overall army composition. And then we're going to take a look at one example attack where I can explain to you the rough concept of every single strategy so you know what you're looking for. This first strategy is all about the Warden charge in the beginning because this is setting up your entire attack. What you're looking for is first off pathing for the second stage, which is the hero dive later on, and as well taking away a lot of damage to make sure that later on you do not have to worry about a raged up core, which is pretty much one-shotting on Town Hall 18 all of your troops. So what we're doing here, we're getting a core fireball, we have interrupted the ring, and now we're having the Warden starting into the Town Hall. Just to speed up this entire process, we have a couple of furnaces inside this army composition to just make sure that time is less, well, actually, hopefully no issue whatsoever. The next part here is somewhat simple as soon as you're understanding the concept of funneling, which is you now have 5 yetis, you have a few ice golems, you have king, queen, and royal champion, and they all work together to have a really big hero dive. Usually you're trying to go for the lock launcher to open up as many compartments for you as possible so your heroes and all of the troops surrounding them can have access to the entire base if possible. On this one, the core is already gone, so instead I'm using the lock launcher just to deal damage and as well have some nice backup support. The king did his job, pushed the queen to the right, the royal champion supporting there as well, the queen is in there, and they're now working from one side when on the other side the warden's working at the same time. And this is what you usually go for. You have the warden completely isolated, this is as well why you have the recall. Sometimes though, you can even let the Warden walk for even longer, which means you do not always have to recall right before you start your hero dive. Sometimes you can just have a Warden charge, start your hero dive, then recall. This strategy is all about flexibility. And this is as well where the tricky point starts. Well, it's not an easy strategy whatsoever. So you will take some time to really learn this, but for me right now, it is such a fun strategy. And the good news is, this strategy is only becoming stronger at Town Hall 18 because plenty of levels are still missing. Yetis, you have those Rocket Loons, Furnace, all of those troops when they have Town Hall 18 levels. This strategy is going to become even stronger. On the number 4 spot, we have these Super Bowlers. This strategy is even getting used a lot by the pros in tournaments, and this is as well one of the reasons why this is only on number 4, which sounds controversial. Let me explain. The issue here is that it's really base dependent as well. It's going to crush some bases and you might struggle versus some others. At the same time though, if you can set up the pathing with this early Warden walk for your Super Bowlers, you're up for a treat. Because those Super Bowlers are now really strong. They have had a really big level on Town Hall 18 and you can really feel that in those attacks. With that being said, it is as well not the easiest strategy. Because as you can see, you have to really work for your Warden walk, make sure that it's surviving because you have no fireballs for a deeper funnel. And then at the same time, you're working together with that Flame Flinger. The Flame Flinger is such a crucial siege machine with this army composition because you can have it work at the same time as the Warden walk. And as well, you can have the Warden tanking X-bows, supporting that Flame Flinger and setting up the Flame Flinger even. For us, we have to get now the funnel, which means the Expo, and as soon as that's done, we can then start our Super Bowlers and push them into the middle of the base. Because as soon as you have Super Bowlers inside a core and you raise them up, oh baby, that is where the fun starts for you. Because Super Bowlers, raged up, they're dealing so much damage. If you can keep the Warden up and alive during the entry point, you will have a lot of fun because those super bowlers will stay alive even longer in the core with the Eternal Tome ability. Well, now Queen luring over the Warden, super bowlers are getting added, Ice Golem in, everything in, and now the big push begins. Time though is another big factor. This is why the Warden charge in the beginning should not be any longer than 60 to 90 seconds. If it's any longer, you will struggle with time, that is for sure. For this one, we're jumping now into the core, using an early Eternal Tome because I feel like right now there's too many damage sources, while now in the core we have the damage easily frozen, while it's not as split. And this is as well one of the reasons why we're going for as well 2 freezes and not for more totem spells. Because those super bowlers, you want to make sure every source of damage is getting taken away. Which means even multi-Inferno Towers should not be on a super bowlers anymore. And this is why we have this split between totems and freezes within this army composition. Otherwise, as soon as the core is gone, the base is gone. This is pretty much the strength point of the strategy. And if you can, as I said earlier, funnel them in, control them, you're good to go for a lot of 3 stars. And this is why this strategy as well is getting used quite a few times by the pros in tournaments if they find that good base. And this is why this strategy for me is on the number 4 position. The number 3 position now is going to be interesting because I have actually 3 strategies on this spot. Because we all have a strategy which is working pretty much the same. The first one, mass totems with Hydra, so dragons and dragon riders. Then the second combination here is mass totems with the dragon riders. So you can see already the pattern which we're building up here, right? Because the third option now is mass totems with electro dragons, especially now because they have received a buff. If I would need to rank those 3 strategies within this number 3 tier, I would say that the mass totems with the electro dragons is the strongest. Then the mass totems with the dragon riders is the second strongest. And the third one is then the mass totems with the Hydra. The main reason here is how you use the siege machine and how you use the totems. Hydra, and I have a dedicated video for that as well if you want to check that out. The Hydra version is all about setting up the flame finger. Well, this version which I'm showcasing you here now with the Dragon Riders, you have the Royal Champion opening the show. Which means you're setting up the pathing with the Royal Champion because remember, Royal Champion, targeting defenses, you can sub pathing. Later on, the Dragon Riders are just going for defenses as well. So the pathing which you're setting up right now is working amazing then for your Dragon Riders. So what I'm doing right now, taking out the left side and then spam out the Dragon Riders in from the top. Or we have the Giant Arrow and the Siege Barracks from the top, supporting everything and making sure that cleanup is already on its way. With that being said, this is pretty much the easy opening which you can do with this attack strategy, and then it's all about the totem usage. Now, what is the difference from this one to the Electro Dragons and as well to the Hydra? Well, Hydra, as I said, is 99% of the beginning is the Flame Finger, and that's the exact use case of the totem which was nerfed. So this is why this strategy has dropped down a little bit in the ranking. Still the overall shared number 3 spot, but Electro Dragons are again more flexible. This is why we'll have a dedicated Electro Dragon video from the number 1 Electro Dragon guy right now, like the pusher, which is Nian. He's as well a pro, a Chinese player, and he's really insane because if you take a look at his offensive stats, which I will highlight again and then the dedicated video, he's having even better offensive stats, I believe, than Stars, which is, or close to it, which is kind of insane. And his strategy is getting buffed. So that's scary to think about. But as I said, that will be a complete dedicated video. This is why we're only highlighting the Dragon Riders for the number 3 spot. But don't worry, all of those different strategy links are going to be down below in the description of the video. So if you want to already try the Electro Dragon version today, feel free to do so. But the explanation video then is going to be releasing tomorrow, maybe the day after, but within the next few days, that's for sure. With that being said, hey, base is gone while I was talking. Easy, right? No, but kidding aside, this strategy from the difficulty level compared to the other strategies we had so far is for sure on the easier side. Royal Champion pathing, mass Dragon Riders in, and then it's kind of all about how good you are with those totems. Make sure that you're trying to take Splash away from your Dragon Riders to deploy the totems behind Splash, like Super Wizard Towers and such, and that's just the game changer. The next one is going to be the mass meteor golems as well with mass totems. I know, big surprise. But you have some flexibility here. With the torch buff, you can as well use the rage gem with the heroic torch. I know most people won't have this equipment leveled up, which is understandable. It was trash for many months. But just in case, you can use this here as well if you want to. For the example attack, I will just use the Eternal Tome, but as I said, you can use the Heroic Torch exactly the same. What you're opening here, or what you're doing with this one, it is not about the Flame Finger. This one is all about the Lock Launcher again. So what you're doing, you're starting somewhere with their Queen with the Giant Arrow, Ice Golem in front, support her a little bit, and then the Lock Launcher behind. Do not just snipe a corner of the base, but as well get a lot of value further in. Funnel really deep inside the middle of the base. Then, on the flank of that, you're going to use the Meteor Golems. On the flank of that, on the other corner, then you're going to use your King to keep everything intact and on the same path, pretty much. The Royal Champion is going to be used within the mix of the Meteor Golems. I really like the Frost Flake here. But again, go with the Rocky Spear with the Electric Boots if you prefer that. Totally fine, totally up to you. Go with whatever works best for you. A really good tip which I have at this point now, as we have a metal event going right now, something I would recommend to everyone who's trying out one of those strategies, go with a magic snack to max out your equipments for 3 attacks. And if you're doing that in friendly challenges, those 3 attacks won't go down. You have endless attacks in friendly challenges pretty much, which means see if it works better for you with the Frost Flake or the Rocket Spear, and find out yourself and make sure that you're having the strongest possible version of this army for you and how it works for you the best, which is kind of key in the entire point of this video. I just want to give you a rough direction, and then from that point make adjustments that it works for you, because every player is different. Every player has different preferences when it comes down to the support troops they use. Some people would like, hey, if you don't like your Headhunter, the Ice Golem and such, just use another Meteor Golem. Works as well. Just make sure that you're having your own twist on this entire army composition. This is how you crush as well bases with a mass Meteor Golem. The number 1 spot might not really surprise you, and that is still Fireball with the Meteor Golems. Yes, there are some things which are getting worse about this strategy, Sneezy being one of them. But trust me, it's still fine, okay? It is still fine. I know there are some strong opinions out there, but I guess people will understand as soon as they're able to play it then again. And yeah, just be careful with those loons. That's pretty much it. Just spread them out a little bit and you're going to be completely fine. With that being said, so what you're doing here is pretty much the same approach as with the Super Bowlers, but instead you have the option now of the Fireball to speed up the funnel, of just have a deeper funnel sometimes. You can be flexible here. And this is why this strategy as well is so highly ranked, because even though many people, are pretty much all of the base builders in Legends, are trying to defend it, you can be so flexible and creative about those attacks. You can use the Fireball in many different ways, and as well just the next phase you have as well many options when it comes to the sieges. For example, you can use the Lock Launcher, you can as well use the Troop Launcher, which will give you great success. With that being said, you have the King on the outside with the Meteor Golems, few of them supporting, and then the main push with the Queen, and then right behind we have that Troop Launcher throwing in a couple of loons to make sure that your healers are staying safe and everything can push forward. Now, you have the Fireball as a tool to pretty much guide the troops through the entire base. But there's one more tool which you can use to really improve the pathing by a lot, and at the same time take damage away from your troops, and that is the Overgrowth spell. This is pretty much the key to success for this strategy, which sometimes might look completely wasted like the spell, but in some attacks it's pretty much the difference between a really big fail and the base getting completely crushed. So learning the placement of the Overgrowth is going to be the big deciding factor, because it was already one of the highest skill cap spells back when the Root Riders were available. And now with Meteor Golems, it is even stronger, like not even stronger, but even more important to place that well to really guide them through the entire base. With that being said, this base is crushed, and I'm at the end because this was the number 1 strategy after those balance changes. So you see already, there are not as many changes within the strength of the different strategies, The game sadly overall is becoming a little bit tougher. As I already said, I think a few videos ago, I hope Supercell is going to change something about that in the future. And that's pretty much it for this video today. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next Clash video. Until then, see ya and bye-bye.